गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन भक्तजनरञ्जन यामुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज विहारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन तत्तनरञ्जन यामुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज विहारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन तत्तनरञ्जन यामुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद हरिनाम संकीर्तन नायक की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपदामयं ददाति देहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागररघुनाथं तं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सागरललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody to our Saturday satsang. So anybody, what we discussed last week?
Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi.
Okay. What else did we learn?
Wise person will not lament for a living person or a dead person.
Person will not lament for a living or a dead person. Very nice. And anybody else has noted anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
You mentioned self-centeredness and selfishness is not a good quality. Real selfishness is to worship Lord. And Arjuna surrenders himself to Lord Krishna. And he says that whatever is the best, I am ready to do. I am ready to take your instruction. And another point is you mentioned about spiritual master, that spiritual master comes from parampara. We need to surrender to Guru. And Guru should always speak what Krishna has told us to do. And you mentioned Karpanya dosha, miserly weakness. And you also mentioned we are always trying to solve day-to-day problem, but we are not concerned about the real problem. And you mentioned that those problems, this birth and death, it's a real problem and it's very painful. And with commitment, efforts, and if we really show interest to get rid of real problem, we can do it. And this is possible only when we become human being, and there is a way to such problems. And you also mentioned one who lives life in a mode of goodness, he will go to heavenly planet. But even that heavenly planet is a temporary thing. And you mentioned about Atma, like Atma, like we are all eternal individuals. We are not born now. We will not be born again. We don't have a birth, or like Atma doesn't have a birth or a death. It's only a body which has a death. This is what I remember.
Yes, very nice. So that is such an important piece of information, right? Which we didn't know, that we don't have any death. We don't have any birth. We don't have any death. So we are free. We are not caught. Except that, it is only our material desires that can hold us. Because of these material desires, we have got a body. So we have to understand, we are actually eternally free. We are eternal and we are eternally free. Okay. But because we have material desires. Now, if you have material desires, we need material body to fulfill those desires. That is the reason we are in this material world. We have this body and we have all the suffering associated with the body is because of material desires. It is foreign. These material desires are foreign to us because we are spiritual, right? But we have developed these foreign desires. Now, in order to fulfill these foreign desires, we have come and we are stuck in this material world and we are suffering birth after birth. Yes, so now this today we're going to discuss the continuation of this Atma Gnana. Okay. So I'm going to continue again further from verse 12. So verse 12, Krishna says, Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipaha nachaiva nabhavishyamah sarve vayam ataparam. Now there's one more important point. That so we are all eternal. We are all eternal. And Krishna is also eternal. Okay, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is also eternal. We are persons. Krishna is also a person. Okay. And Krishna as a person is speaking here saying that I am also eternal. You're also eternal. All these kings are eternal. Now, this is very important to understand that Krishna is a person. Okay. When we are trying to talk, we are talking about bhakti, we are talking about building a relationship with Krishna. It is actually building a relationship with a person called Krishna. Unfortunately, in South India, most people think that God means, they think it's some energy. It's some formless energy, Nirakar. But Krishna is not formless. Krishna is a beautiful form. Premanjanachurita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam. Achintya Gunaswarupam. Shama Sundara. Krishna is called Shama Sundara. Shama Sundaram Achintya. It is inconceivable. We cannot even imagine his guna and rupa. Qualities and form is inconceivable to us. Achintya Gunaswarupam. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vadami. So, Krishna is a person who has a beautiful form which only devotees can understand. Premanjana Churita, this verse saying Premanjana. When our eyes are anointed with the love of Krishna, only then we can understand the form of Krishna. Okay. But till then we should understand saying that Krishna is not formless. Krishna, of course, Supreme Lord has energy, but this energy is coming from a person. Energy is coming from a person. Okay, so Krishna is saying, I am person and I am existing eternally. I've been existing eternally, and you're also existing eternally. Everybody is existing eternally. Okay. Now, there is one actually beautiful statement in this purport. Okay, only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect and eternal peace. Now, we are all looking for peace, happiness, etc., etc. No, here there is one formula. It says that only a saintly person who can see within and without as in inside and outside, inside himself and outside, he's saying the same supreme, he's seeing the same Supreme Lord. What does this mean? This means that as we proceed in reading Bhagavad Gita, we'll understand that actually everything is coming from Krishna. Okay, Krishna has two types of energies. One is called material, three types mainly. Okay, one is material, one is spiritual, and we are called marginal, or we are called Tatastha Shakti. We are marginal. Marginal means either we can choose either to be on the spiritual side, or we can choose to be on the material side. It is our choice. Okay, so but the marginal energy, the external energy, the material energy is what is created this, this whole material world is created from this material energy. Okay. So this and all the spiritual world comes from Krishna's internal energy. So actually, which is superior energy. Okay. So when we see anything in this material world, because that's what is visible to us, anything and everything that we see in this material world has come from Krishna, has come from Krishna's material energy. Okay. And internally also, a saintly person, he knows that, okay, internally I am Atma. Atma is also part and parcel of Krishna. Okay, this body, all the Panchabhuta, earth, water, air, fire, ether, all of these which form this body, also which forms everything around us, right? Nature, things, other persons, other living creatures, non-living creatures, everything is coming from Krishna. There is nothing apart from Krishna. That is why I say Sarva Karana Karanam, right? And he is the cause of all causes. Everything is coming from him. So a saintly person, he sees, whenever he sees anybody, any person, any situation, anything, he is able to see only Krishna's hands. He's able to say, okay, Krishna is, because everything is running due to Krishna. Everything is happening because of Krishna. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Right? So we should always remember that Krishna is a person. Everything here is happening. Everything that we can see, not see, everything is happening by the consent of Krishna. Okay, he may or may not be directly involved. It's like a CEO, right? The CEO of an office, he doesn't have to be sitting and writing a software program or building, going and taking bricks from one place to another to build a building. but everything is happening under his direction and with his consent. Right? So like this, the Supreme Lord, he is everywhere, but he is also present in his Dhama, in his abode. A place where he resides is called Goloka Vrindavana. It is part of Vaikuntha Loka. It is specifically called Goloka Vrindavana, like we know about Ayodhya, right? So like that, there is Goloka Vrindavana. So Krishna stays there, but his energy, through his energy, he manifests all this beautiful universe, this material world that we are seeing. So we should understand, only when we see Krishna in everything, we can achieve eternal peace. We can be peaceful. Why? Because we are trying to build a relationship with Krishna. So it's like, just giving a crude example. Suppose say some politician, some chief minister or somebody. Now wherever you go, you'll say, nothing, I don't care. I mean, I'm not worried because I know this chief minister, right? So if there's anything, I'll just use this card. So like that, if we are trying to build a relationship with Krishna, so we don't have to fear this material world, because example is given actually. When a lion, there's a difference between a lion holding a cub in its mouth and lion holding a kitten in its mouth, right? I mean, the kitten is there in the lion's mouth, it is very afraid because it knows that lion is death, right? But when a cub is there in the lion's mouth, now there is no concern. It's happy and actually, in fact, more comfortable because it's with his mother, right? So similarly, when we build relationship with Krishna, we should realize that he is our father. Everything is a property of our father. Everything comes from him. He is in control. So we don't have to really fear this material world. We don't have to be worried about this material world. The only thing we have to be worried about is not going against the desire or will of our father, right? If the father is saying, don't do this, we should avoid it, right? Live a life which is as per his requirement, his expectation. Then we don't have to worry. We can just be very happy and peaceful. We don't have to have worry, tension, anxiety, nothing is required, right? So we should see Krishna in everything. Krishna's mercy. So great devotees, actually today there was one, one Maharaj who had come to our temple, Swami Ji, and he was saying that pure devotees means pure devotees are those who don't have any desire apart from just serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. That's all. They don't have any material desires. They don't want to achieve anything in this material world. All they want to achieve is just pleasure of Krishna, right? So he was saying that such devotees, when there is a lot of problem, they become very excited. When there are problems, I was like, it was a great revelation for me. He said, when there are problems, we become worried, dejected. We say, okay, why, can't I just live a normal life? Why do I have to deal with so many problems? There are so many people without problems. Why these problems are coming only to me? So many questions we ask, right? We are saying that these devotees, they become excited when there are problems. Why they become excited? Because they're so dependent on Krishna. They know that if there is some problem, then that means that after that problem, there is going to be something very exciting coming, right? So the point is that, because Krishna is in control, so he is creating some exciting situation. Something is going to happen, right? So for us, we can just see that, if we get something, if there is some problem, we should just think, okay, I am supposed to have possibly suffered more, but by Krishna's mercy, maybe a very little suffering is coming to me, and we should be happy that Krishna has reduced our suffering, right? Similarly, if there is something very nice coming to us, right, we should think, oh, I don't deserve this at all. Krishna is so merciful. He has given me something that I don't deserve. But actually, we do the other way around. When something nice has come, we say, okay, I have achieved, and we don't have satisfaction at all. We want more and more. And when there are problems, we say, Krishna, why did you create this problem? Actually, it should be the other way around. It is whatever happiness is just given to us by Krishna's mercy. We don't deserve it. And our problems are also should have been very big, but by Krishna's mercy, they become very small. So like this, we should see Krishna in everything, because Krishna is saying, I am present eternally here. And that is Prabhupada is saying that beautiful verse in the purport. Okay, now we move on to verse 13, which is talking about how the rebirth process happens, right? They're saying dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. Saying that a soul which is in this body, it continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youthhood. That means that body is changing. Body is young, then it becomes, then it moves into youth, then there is, person grows up, becomes an adult, then there is old age, and finally, so in this process, the soul has moved through multiple changes in the body, right? So the soul is already experiencing that body to be changing. It was a small body, then it became big, then features change, you look like a different person, teenage, and when you grow up, you look different. So body is changing now. However, of course, when compared to the small body when you were a baby, the body that you might have today might be completely different, right? People may not be able to recognize if they see your photo now and your photo as a baby, right? So now that's the change in the body. Body has changed, right? But just because we are in the same house, maybe, or same settings, same relatives, etc., etc., we don't maybe take this so seriously. And of course, then things that we have are there with us in our possession, right? So maybe we don't think about it too much, right? But basically, body has been changing. Now, death here, it's basically this verse is saying now at old age, similarly, when body becomes useless or the time has come for the soul to move on, the soul just gives up this body, has to give up this body. Soul has to give up this body and then take up a new body. That's it. That is death. So just like the soul has been changing body in some sense, like I had said, even scientifically or medically, the body cells change all the time. So if the cells change, which are the building blocks of the body, pretty much it means that the body is changed, right? So we have actually been experiencing this change in body even in this life. Now at the end of this life, we just change to another maybe very different body, right? Maybe all the relatives are, all the family is new, maybe the country is new, maybe the language is new, maybe everything is new about it, maybe, right? Depends on what kind of life we have lived now. So the body, and so this is going to happen to everybody. Body is going to change. Atma is eternal, body is temporary, body dies, as in body perishes, and then the Atma has to get another body. Now, the important point here is that the Atma has to get another body. Now, this body can be either material or spiritual. This is an option that we have. Either we can opt to get, of course, opt means it's not like, it's not like give your press 1 for material, press 2 for spiritual. It's not like that. But we can live in a certain way such that we can either get a spiritual body or a material body. Okay. So we have overall 4 options. Okay. Now this is a decision-making time for all of us, right? And because we are grown-ups and we are trying to understand the goal of life, so we have 4 options. And you please think about it and decide what you want, where you want to go. Okay. So first one is actually there are 3 destinations in this material world, and there's 1 destination outside this material world. So the 3 destinations in this material world is Bhagavad Gita says Urdhvam Gacchanti Sattvastha. Those who live in Sattva Guna. So we'll talk about this. These are called modes of nature. A mode of goodness called Sattva Guna, mode of passion called Rajo Guna, mode of illusion called Tamo Guna. So either we can live a life in goodness predominantly. Of course, these gunas are intertwined. So sometimes we are, in demonstrating some behavior, and at some other time we might demonstrate some other type of behavior. But we'll have a predominant nature, as we call it. Okay. So either it can be goodness, or in passion, or in ignorance. Now, if we live a life of goodness, then we can go to Urdhvam Gacchanti Sattvastha. We can go to higher planets. Okay. Then Madhya Tishtanti Rajasa. Those who are in Rajoguna, passion. Passion means no time. Busy, 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 busy. We don't know what we are doing, what we are trying to achieve, but we are busy. Now, such people, they most possibly come back to this earth again, because earth is called Karma Bhumi. People who are, very passionate about work have to come back to this material world, to this earth. Okay. And Adho Ganchati Tamasa, those who are living their life in ignorance, sleep, indolence, no meaning to life, unclean. These people, they will go down either to animalistic bodies, or they will go down to lower planetary systems. Now, these are three options. So either you can choose to go to higher planets, which are heavenly planets, and of course, life, quality of life, length of life, everything is great about the heavenly planets, right? Nothing compared to, earthly planet happiness is nothing compared to the happiness in heavenly planet, right? So you can either go to heavenly planet, or if you like your home, your house, and where you stay and all the nonsense associated with it, then we can come back to this same material world. Of course, now we don't know where we're going to be born though, but you can come back to this earth. And third is, you can either become an animal. If you don't want a human body, nature is very economical, right? If you are living like an animal, nature will give an animal body. Why waste a human body for somebody who wants an animal body, right? And other thing is, you can go down to lower planetary systems. So these are three options. Now, the fourth option is, of course, getting out of this material world to the spiritual world. Okay, where the spiritual world called Vaikuntha is free of all anxieties. There are no anxieties in the spiritual world. It's full of ananda, full of happiness. Not this kind of temporary, short-lived happiness with like a advertisement kind of happiness, right? Which just comes in between, and then we have prolonged distresses that we have to deal with. It's not like that. It's eternal happiness, right? So we can decide what kind of body I want. We are all intelligent people. We are all capable people, right? So we have to make this decision. What do I want? Because according to our decision, we have to change our activities, isn't it? If somebody is studying in 10th standard and they want to become a doctor, then that's okay. I'm going to do, PUC in PCMB, etc., right? And their route is then carved out. Okay, maybe I'm going to do MBBS and MD, blah, 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 right? Somebody wants to become an engineer, there's a different route. Somebody wants to become artist, then there's a different route, right? Now, unless somebody is decided as to what their direction or their destination is, or what they want to achieve, where they want to go, how do you decide the path? And without deciding the destination, then we'll keep going left, right, then we go straight, then we go reverse. We'll do all kinds of things, waste time, right? So it's better that we have clarity. Where do we want to go? Right? Because going to is definite, right? He is saying that body has to change, because this body is not eternal. Whatever body we have acquired is temporary. It has to fall. One day it is going to fall. Whether it is today or 100 years later, we don't know. So it is our decision time. We have to decide what type of body we want. So that is key. That is very important, to decide what kind of body we actually want. Okay. Now there is another thing, right? We also talk about knowledge. Now, what is knowledge? Knowledge means that one who knows this. See, we think that knowledge is, I know how to, maybe, I don't know, repair my bike, or how to build a building, or whatever, right? I mean, we think, or how to write a computer program, maybe, right? We might know all this, but this is not real knowledge. This is probationary skill, right? It is just skill that we have acquired to make a living. That's it, right? But real knowledge is knowing body, knowing this matter, knowing the soul, and our relationship with the super soul or the Supreme Lord. This is real knowledge. Now, one who doesn't have this knowledge thinks that I am the body, right? And so when there is a change, when there is death, so-called change, he becomes bewildered. Oh my God, what is this? I'm losing everything. Remember, right? I told the story about this king and of the fool, right? The king was at the time of his death, he couldn't take anything along with him, right? But he lived a life such that it almost looked like he could have taken everything, right? Or why was he working so hard if he couldn't take anything with him at death, right? So we have to think about it, right? Otherwise, we'll be like that fool. We are just doing something without really any meaning. So this is knowledge. Real knowledge means that we understand that I am soul. This is body is temporary. This body is going to perish. I'm going to go and I'm going to get another body. Now the important point is what body, And depending on if we decide saying that, okay, I want to go here, there, wherever, then we decide our activities. Activities get decided automatically. But we have to decide the destination so that we can fix our activities and not lose our way and not lose time. Right? And a sober person is not heartless. A sober person is not heartless. I know when you say sober person, we shouldn't think, oh, this person is, close his eyes to all miseries. No, he actually sees the truth. He is in knowledge. He sees the truth, saying that his body is anyway going to die. Now, today or tomorrow, it had to happen. Why are we so fretting about it, right? But instead, actually, we should worry about where are we headed, right? And what is going to be our destination. That is what a sober person will be thinking about. Right? So this is very, very important. Now, there is a practical. So this verse is a very practical verse. Matrasparshasta kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agamapayino nityastam stitikshasu bharata. So Krishna is saying here, see, but however, you have a bad bargain. You have a body. Okay, you have a material body. Now, since you have a material body, you are going to have a happiness and distress. This is guaranteed. Now, you can write on a plain paper, I can sign saying that, all of us will have problems and happiness in life. Nobody can say I have only problems, or nobody can say I have only happiness. Not possible. Very rare are those souls. Very either high, very fortunate or very unfortunate souls are very, very rare. Right? Mostly all of us will have happiness and distress, both. Right? So here he's saying this, first thing he's saying is this happiness and distress are temporary. Number one. That means that normally we feel, right, when we have a problem, we feel that, oh, looks like this problem is going to be there forever. How many of us feel like this? When we experience a problem, first thing that comes to my mind is, oh, maybe this will not go at all. Right? Of course, depends on our nature. Some people are very positive, some people are very negative. At least the people who are negative will think, okay, this problem is not going to go. Right? But it's not true. Everything is temporary. Everything is a matter of time. Now, how much time is the question? Something might be 1 day, something might be 10 days, something might be 10 years. That totally depends on how bad our karma phala is. If you've done some very nasty things in our previous life, then maybe that suffering is 10 years. Maybe if you have not done anything nasty, maybe it's just 1 year. Right? Or whatever it is, right? But it is temporary. In the overall, because we are eternal, our time span is so big. In that, this is like a blip, right? One small blip. That's it. So it is temporary. It will go. It has to go. Both happiness and distress. So he's saying matra sparsha. And how does this happiness and distress come? Matra sparsha. It is actually through the touch, experience of the skin, right? Sense perception. So which means that if there is pain in the body, that is due to our perception of that pain. If suppose say we don't have any perception of the pain, we don't feel pain, right? Like if suppose says, for some reason somebody has lost some consciousness, some, some stroke or something, he can't feel anything in that part of the body, right? Where the nervous system is not working, etc., etc. So this whole suffering is coming through us through sense perception. Now mind, we are feeling happy, we are feeling unhappy. Now all these are feelings. These feelings are again, it's a combination of chemicals in the body, how there is, and there are these are perceptions, right? Because this can change. The same situation we can feel happy, the same situation we can feel unhappy. It's not permanent. Actually, it's not like a, what do you say? It's not predetermined that the situation should always give you distress. It just depends on the person and the time. Right? The same thing for a person can give happiness, same thing maybe at some other time may give distress. Right? Or something which is a problem for one person may not be a problem for another person. So all this we are just experiencing because actually sense perception means because of this body. Because we have this body, we are actually experiencing this. So the body is the channel through which all our suffering comes to us. Right? It is the channel. Now think about this. This channel is the cause of suffering for us. And we spend so much of time taking care of it. Right? Like suppose say there's somebody who is going to give you a lot of trouble. Do we spend too much of time taking care of that person and feeding, taking care of him, giving whatever is required, etc.? No, we will not take care of that person, right? Because from that person we're going to get trouble. But here we are taking care of this body, which is the source of our suffering. We are taking care of it so nicely without actually thinking about how this body is causing suffering or how do I get out of it, right? So this is happiness and suffering is going to come. Krishna is assuring it's going to come, and it's temporary also. Both of them are assured. Okay, and it is happening because just experience because of this body, physical body that we have. Okay, now so he's saying Sitoshna Sukha Dukkada Agamapaino Anityastam Stitikshasva Bharata. So he's saying, as a result, because it is temporary, you have to tolerate it. Tolerate it. Now, this tolerance is a very important concept, right? Actually, in this modern time of fast food, right? Everything is fast. Everything has to happen fast. We don't have any tolerance, do we? Especially in this Kali Yuga. Manda sumandamato manda bhagya upadritaha. We're always in anxiety. We are always ready to fight. Small disturbance, we are ready. We are ready always, with our fighting gloves. So why, nowadays, even young children, actually, if you see, something you say, one or two things you say, by then they are switched off. I don't want to listen to you, right? Teenagers especially. Why is this? Can anybody think why? First of all, I mean, do you think we have become very intolerant as a society? If so, why do you think so? Okay, now devotees who have heard Prabhupada, etc., kindly let others speak. So why do we, first of all, do we accept that there is intolerance in this world? And second is, why do you think this intolerance exists? And is it reducing? Is it increasing? If so, what is the reason? Any thoughts? Okay, is there intolerance in this world first?
Yes, it is there.
Okay, intolerance is there. Now, is this intolerance, is it same like 10, 20 years back, or is it increased?
Increased, definitely increased.
It has increased. And Mataji, why do you think it has increased?
That not sure.
That's not sure. Okay. Anybody else wants to think about this? Why intolerance has increased? Yes, Prabhu.
So it's because people became more and more self-interested and more trying to get sense gratification instead of understanding the supreme goal of life.
Okay.
So there will be always disturbance and always there will be fight because the goal is not satisfying God. So we see everyone as a competition.
We see everyone as competition. Okay, very important point. Prabhu is saying we see everyone as competition. Okay, so we see everyone as competition. Okay, and we are all, but why is it increased? These are reasons. Okay, we become more self-centered. Prabhu is saying we become more self-centered. Okay, any other thoughts?
Maybe due to very small families. No?
Small families,
Small
nuclear,
families.
no, nuclear, non-nuclear, all kinds of families exist now.
Yes.
Okay, so these families system has changed. Okay, what else? Please think what was different. What was different before?
Most of our works are done by machines now.
What are the works are done by machines? Okay, so we are also becoming like machines.
Yes. Everything on fingertips, so we don't have a tolerance like.
Okay, some more. Can we think slightly more deeper? Something should have changed, no? Fundamentally, something has changed in the social fabric. Something has changed. It has altered. It has altered us. Like irreversibly, we have changed, isn't it? I mean, it is the same us, right? Same us who were maybe more tolerant, maybe 15, 20 years back, now are more intolerant. So we have to think about this. This is why actually Prabhupada said that Srimad Bhagavatam is for re-spiritualization of this world. Okay, because actually Srimad Bhagavatam talks about social problems, political problems, everything, familial problems, everything it talks about. Right? It is all-round knowledge. So we should understand actually the cause for our intolerance is we lost our culture. What is our culture? Ancient Indian culture, ancient Hindu culture as they call it, right? The culture was one of actually subordination, accepting authority. We were always told, trained, to accept authority. All of us, I mean, previously in, previous ages, people always used to, like I said, they used to have a guru. They used to accept authority of parents. They used to accept authority of elders. Of course, elders, parents, gurus, all of them were also very well qualified to guide the, their dependents. Now, this whole culture was spoiled, was killed by the Britishers, right? Because they said actually this culture, with this culture, we can't rule these Indians. They are far superior to us. So let us kill their culture. How do we kill their culture? Let's change their education system. Let's change what their culture, what their values are, what they think is important, what they, how they should live. All aspects, right? We started adopting, wholeheartedly, we started accepting a Western way of life. And Western way of life had one thing, all materialistic things was available, but there was no culture. There was no sense of, respect, authority, no submission. We are all modern, we are independent, we have our own freedom to do whatever we want. See, our ancestors, people in previous ages, they were not fools. We should not think that they were fools. So they didn't have, high-speed cars, for example. They were very smart. They were very smart. They thought, why these cars? This car is for me to take me from one place to another. Now, which means that I have work in some other place and I'm staying some other place, right? So which means that it's a waste of time because I'm going from one place to another, spending 1 hour to do something. That work might be 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but I'm wasting 1 hour to go. I said, why don't I just place myself near that place of work? Why do I have to waste, instead of wasting 1 hour flow and 1 hour to 1 hour flow, 2 hours, let me just stay near the place of work, for example. Right? So they didn't have all these problems because they had very simple lives. Now what we did, we said, no. We have to own house. House is very, place is very expensive. Let's buy a house outside the city. Now from outside the city to come into the city will obviously take time. Now how do I come? I need some vehicle. So let me buy a vehicle. Now, okay, I bought a vehicle. Now I have to fill fuel. Now fuel was 50 rupees, 60 rupees, 70 rupees, 80 rupees, 90 rupees. It's been increasing. Right now, then I have to earn. For buying that car, for buying that petrol, I have to earn. So then I have to work very hard because nobody's going to give me money easily. So then I spend my whole life running behind these artificial requirements that I have created for myself, which was not required at all. Right? So all this actually was taught to us by the Britishers. Very nicely they taught us such that we didn't even think that it is correct to, to be not copying them. We thought it is completely perfect to copy them. If we don't, then we are disqualified. And we don't have the required qualification to be in a society. With that came everything. With the so-called material advancement has come all of this. Okay. So we want, like Prabhu was saying, we want more. We are selfish. Right? We lost our culture, values. It's all about me and myself right now. Even family is an extended selfishness, but immediate selfishness is me and myself. And we are intolerant because if I want something, I need it. That's it. I don't care. Right? That's how people of this world react. I don't care. I don't care for elders. Elders are nobody to take care. I don't care. Let them go and stay in some old age home. I have to go to US because I have to make my money. Who's going to stay stuck in India and, to take care of my parents. This is all what we have been taught. Of course, I mean, whom are we to blame? Our own selves, right? Because we accepted this brainlessly, we accepted all this culture. So this is just increasing. It is just increasing and increasing and increasing. It's all about me and my happiness, come what may. I don't care what approach I take. I don't care how it comes. I just want to be happy. And I don't have time. More importantly, isn't it? How many of us can say we have time in our life? We are struggling. Don't know for what though. We're struggling so much to just keep ourselves alive, to get food. Is that what we are struggling for? Without knowing the goal of life, without being able to do anything to achieve that? What kind of intelligence is that? Intelligence which is engaging us in something so temporary. Right? So this intolerance has increased. This intolerance is increased. And this intolerance has increased now to such an extent, right? Like people don't want to even wait till traffic signal. I mean, heights of it, right? Traffic signals are there for your protection. But people want to jump traffic signals. What else can you tell? Right? So much intelligence people have. Right? They think I can see here and there and then just jump the signal. It's for our own protection, the traffic signals, right? If everybody starts acting like that, what will happen? Chaos. Right? So Krishna is saying, please learn to tolerate. We have to bring this tolerance back into our lives. Right? If there is some inconvenience, it's okay. It's okay to have, I was reflecting my own behavior around this. The other day, we have in our house, we have a pressure pump, which actually, there's water pressure is very less. So there's a pressure pump. One day, one of these days we got up and then we saw that, water is not coming. Then immediately water means big problem, right? So then I went, saw the sump. Okay, there's water which is there in the sump. Then it's also going up to the overhead tank. So water is there. Now why is water not coming? And everybody is agitated, saying, "Oh, no force." Like, if there is no force, it's okay. As in, what is the problem? Water is coming, right? You can wait, and that too, it was Republic Day, so you can't call any worker or any. And we were like, just everybody was like getting agitated. And then after 2 hours, the problem got rectified itself. It is just that water had not gone completely to the overhead tank. Intolerance, right? Then in the meantime, we're already struggling to find. Okay, let me find the phone. Let me try to call if somebody is going to pick up on Republic Day. Oh God, please pick up. Let him pick up the phone. Simple, small problem. No tolerance. No tolerance. And say, okay, if it's going to be there for a day, okay, let's deal with it. So like this, I'm just giving, a very crude example. We're just not tolerant about anything, anybody, any situation. Nothing we're tolerant about. We want everything now and fixed. We want it fixed. We want it solved now. That's it. No negotiation. Right? World doesn't work that way, isn't it? Does it work? So the more intolerant we are, the more unhappy we will be, the more tense we'll be, the more anxious we'll be, more health problems we'll get into, isn't it? So much of tension, so much of anxiety. We have to just learn to tolerate. And this is such an important thing. See, Krishna is talking about this right up front, 14th verse of 2nd chapter. Krishna just started speaking three verses back. Right? Last 2.11, he started speaking Upadesh, and he's immediately saying, become tolerant. Actually, tolerance has lots of merits. Lots of merits. Without tolerance, actually, most people end up either doing wrong things, taking wrong decisions, saying wrong things. Everything about this intolerance is bad, and everything about tolerance is good. Sometimes too much of this, systematic society, like for example, somebody says, if I go to the US, I know that, traffic is like this, I can, and if I go to a shop or whatever, there's a queue and everything happens properly on time. It's so systematic. And what it does is it makes us intolerant, because any deviation from that, we can't tolerate it. That way, India, that is why it is considered that, how much ever economic development you have in India, you will always have to deal with, that one, you go to SBI, all your tolerance will be tested. So I had this great, beautiful experience. I had gone to close, some loan, and just sitting outside that manager's room for 2 hours. So that day, previous day I talked about tolerance. So my wife and me decided, saying that, okay, let's see how much tolerance we have. We waited and waited and waited. Then once in a while we were going near this one, saying that, Baba, kuch karke jaldi, we have important things to do. And a person is in his own world. Then, some system issue, some 25 times we went from one officer to another officer. And we were saying, okay, see, this is real test. And of course, we become intolerant with saying, okay, what kind of a system is this? Now, what happens in this whole thing, this whole experience, that we just lose Krishna consciousness. We're not conscious about Krishna anymore, isn't it? We're just conscious about that problem and about that person, saying, why is this person, can't he be efficient? Right? So all our consciousness is gone. Oh, yeah, maybe it is good if it happened in 10 minutes, but if it took 2 hours, it was destined to take 2 hours. You can make your effort. I'm not saying that just, close your eyes and just sit and waste your time, in doing unnecessary things. No, but, you can make your attempt. Maybe go and talk to the manager, saying, can you please look at it, just want to finish it up and we have other things to do. But if it's going to take 2 hours, it's going to take 2 hours, right? You made your attempt, and then just have your chanting beads and chant Hare Krishna, right? So just reflect on this tolerance. We'll have some more discussion next week. I also want all of you to think about this and come back, right? How tolerance can actually make life better, right? So kindly reflect on this very, very important topic of tolerance. It can make a big, big, big difference in the quality of our life, right? Even before we can step into bhakti, right? Because actually, see, if you are not tolerant, we will never. Prabhupada says, actually, person who doesn't have knowledge. Now, if you're intolerant, we don't have time, patience for knowledge. If we don't develop this tolerance, we don't want to understand anything properly. We don't want to hear anything. We don't want to read anything, right? Because we just in this busy mode. In busy mode, we can't think actually, what should I do? What should I not do? We cannot. So this tolerance is very, very important, because it actually helps us to kind of we open up ourselves, right, to hear the message, right? So kindly think about this tolerance. If we don't learn it, then life will teach us hard way, right? So we can opt whichever mode of learning we want, either the easy way, which is to hear from Shastra and learn, or the difficult way, which is through life's experiences. Okay, so I'll say those words and I will close today's discussion. If anybody has any questions, thoughts, you can please share. Next week, again, we will discuss a little more on tolerance, and then move on to further verses. Hare Krishna. Any questions, any thoughts from anybody? No thoughts? Okay. So from next week, what we will do is, in the class, at the end of the class, we will do chanting for 5 minutes. Okay, so please have your japa beads with you. So we will do one round of chanting. I had not informed earlier, so we will start from next week. At the end of the class, after everything, 5 minutes, not more than that, right? So it is nice. Actually, it is nice to do chanting together, right? So we'll see how it works. And we can do for 5 minutes every at the end of a class, so that we also become kind of a little bit more inspired and purified also, both. Okay, so any questions from anybody? For some reason today we have very low attendance. Hope maybe busy, and we'll join back again next week. And as usual, I request all of you to kindly spread the word, get other people whom you think would help from this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure all of us are realizing that how valuable, how beneficial this knowledge is in Bhagavad Gita, and it will definitely help others as well. So kindly invite others, and as usual, ABCD, please be in the association of devotees. Please read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam every day. Please chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra on chanting beads, and please accept only Krishna Prasadam. This way we are sanctifying our life, we are doing bhakti. Prasadam is actually, we will discuss in the 3rd chapter, it is so powerful that it actually purifies us, helps us control ourselves, our emotions, etc., etc. It has a lot of practical okay. So yeah, so if there is nothing else, I can conclude.